Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is Brian. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for your patience over the last couple of weeks as I've taken a little bit of a pause from the channel, but we are back and we have another exciting video to take a look at. This is a little bit more of a rare sample, and I know some of you might say, Brian, everything you talk about is rare. And I understand that, but this one is a little bit more than normal. You might remember back in December of 2021, December 10th, tornadoes came through Western Kentucky, did a whole lot of damage to the area. And shortly after that, the KDA, Bourbon Crusade, Fred Minnick, a whole lot of folks put on this kind of rare bourbon auction, charity, fundraiser, donation thing to help proceeds going towards some of the relief efforts that were taking place there. In fact, so much was thrown towards that from Willett to Four Roses, tons of places, tons of people, that north of $3 million was raised for the efforts for this, almost $3.5 million. And coming from Four Roses was the opportunity for a private select barrel that was the oldest private select barrel presently done at the time. So while we've seen some older bottles that have released through the gift shop, this was the ability to pick anywhere from, I think it's a 17 to 24-year-old bourbon from Four Roses. Smoke Wagon, Willett, the Four Roses pick. There was Tasting Experience as a Castle and Key, hand-engraved decanter of the 23-year-old Old Rip Van Winkle. Tons of stuff were involved in this. But again, what we're talking about comes from a group of folks who were able to do one of these Four Roses picks, and now they've gone through the process. They ended up picking a 19-year, 4-month-old OBSF recipe, and the bottles have come in, and one of my friends who was on the pick was kind enough to meet up with me. We were out and about. I'll show you a photo here. Not necessarily the best place to initially try a bottle like this, the rear parking lot waiting for sushi from a to-go place. But that's where I was first able to try it. And instead of having like a 2-ounce sample of that I drank in that parking lot there, I was able to bring some of that back in a sample bottle. And I wanted to share this experience with you all as well. I know it's not something that's going to be acquirable. The money that was donated in order to get this pick means that these bottles technically it cost quite a bit. But it's not every day that we're able to try Four Roses release like this. And while you might remember, I've done the 20-year Visitor Center bottle video as well, and I'm not going to directly compare that to this. I want it to be solely about this product here. We will make some comments about the comparison between the two at the end. Typical color we've seen on a lot of these Four Roses products, a little bit deeper in color, but kind of that nice kind of honey amberish color here. And the nose is just super intoxicating. As my friend Scott put it, it has notes that are almost more similar to kind of the Brown-Forman Old Forester camp a little bit. It's got barrel char influence. It's got these kind of subtle kind of medicinal like spice notes there, but they're not very prominent. You notice again the char, you notice some oak there as well. It does not smell like it's somewhere in this 60% alcohol range. You get some kind of nougaty creaminess here, but man, it's just really a decadent, sweeter than you would think for that age, and not as oaky as you would think for that age. A little bit of musty fruit, some elegant spice, definitely not as intense as you might think you're going to get. The longer it sits in the glass, the more kind of nuance comes out, the more slight bit of fragrance comes out, but it's not overly fruity. It just has the primary notes of that kind of chocolate note and that barrel char influence, kind of maybe a little bit of vanilla and caramel there. Let's go ahead and sip. Ooh, and as you would expect, where the Visitor Center was an OBSV, so kind of that creamier, maybe a little bit of fruit, that delicate profile, and as the tasting notes were reflective of that, this is OBSF. This is your minty, your spicy, your full-bodied profile. And it definitely kind of grips you with some nice spice leading the pour. You notice more of those barrel char notes. You get this kind of big orange candy note there. It's not overly sugary, but it definitely is sweeter than you might think for a 19-year pour. It definitely kind of continues with these fudgy notes. More of the barrel char presence is there than oakiness there. It's not overly fruity, but it does have some layer of deeper fruitiness to it. Folks who might be familiar with other OBSF recipes, maybe some that are a little bit more notable, might love them for how bracing and big and spice bomb driven they are. This one is really elegant considering, 19 years old. It doesn't come off tannic. It doesn't come off overly complex in mixing with a lot of that. It's not super fruity. It's not very medicinal. Definitely spice forward on the front. Good amount of citrus and a little bit of sweetness in the middle. And then this nice chocolatey barrel char thing there. We don't have to go super crazy on the tasting notes. This is a really enjoyable pour for 19 years old. Definitely something to experience, and for sure something that I'm thankful for being able to get a chance to try. As I said, I would compare. The OBSV that came with the gift shop, I feel like had a little bit more of that kind of, cherry-y note, a little bit more of the medicinal kind of cherry notes there, a little bit more of the oak wood, maybe some raw wood presence to it. It had a lot of overall flavors I really enjoyed about the pour. It was reflective of an OBSV, and I think this is reflective of an OBSF. Other than that, it's a little difficult to compare the two. I think, again, even though they're all in Four Roses and they have similar flavor pockets, if you've watched other videos I've talked about with Four Roses, you'll probably know that. They seem like they hit on similar flavor notes. It's really how they're presented, how much of what it is that they're presented. But for them both being really well-aged pours, they both reflect that. They are really good, well-aged pours. This one I don't feel like shows its age as much as maybe the OBSV does. Really nice balance, really fun experience to be able to try that. While I was not myself responsible for anything that took place during the Western Kentucky relief efforts, their support directly to this fundraiser, I'm super thankful for Four Roses for offering this pickup, for everyone involved in this particular group who raise those funds and able to do that. These are a great fruit and benefit to come from that, but the same group of folks have done also other fundraiser picks for F cancer, all sorts of things too, and I'm thankful for those guys who are doing those things there, and I'm thankful to be able just to try a little bit of it and share it again here on the channel. Thanks so much everybody for tuning in, and again, thanks for your patience over the last couple of weeks. If there's other OBSF bottles that you all have tried from Four Roses, leave me some comments down below. If there's other things you want to hear me talk about on the channel, be it Four Roses or other stuff, leave me a message down below in the comments or shoot me a line and let me know what you'd like to hear me talk about in future videos on the channel. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let me know if you're enjoying the content I'm putting out so I can continue to put out more content that you're interested in hearing about. If you all want more action, join in on Entry Proof Live. That is a show that I do with Drew P. Whiskey. He's also here on YouTube. We're live on his channel Thursday nights. We're doing blind flights, talking about our barrel picks. All sorts of things take place over there. And if you want behind the scenes footage or information or access to those barrel picks, join us on Patreon, patreon.com/entryproofpodcast. Guys, thanks again so much for everything. Till next time, see you all later.